ban out Ninjas in Pyjamas. It's basically damage control in the banned champions, and already we've got 5 coming out. Ziggs, Irelia, Lucian from Ninjas in Pyjamas, who don't necessarily have anything to fear from that last game, I would say, from Faculty, but Caston taken away, Jax taken away, and what is their last ban going to be? Because Lee Sin caused them issues, Syndra caused them issues, and to be honest, Metas, everything caused them issues in that game. So maybe it wasn't necessarily a single pick, but Kale on Alex Ich was a force to be reckoned with, so they have taken that away. But Syndra is still out there, Lee Sin is still out there.
This has left Braum. I was about to say Braum's still open and so is Syndra, and Braum gets locked in. So unless Siggu is going to play Syndra here and kind of burst this one out, and it's not in his top 5 champions. Top 5 champions are Ziggs, Lulu, Nidalee, Orianna, and Gragas. Then I don't really fancy his chances in mid again.
Well, Ziggs has been taken away. What other priorities do they have? We saw Lulu last game. It was all about trying to get to late game, and that bubble was popped by NIP. They managed to just stop that in its tracks before it even really got started. But they are looking to maybe head towards later into the game once again, try and stall it out, maybe play an even slower game from Faculty. They take the Lulu, they take the Twitch. Again, they're still leaving a lot open. I was thinking maybe they would take away the Lee Sin, just maybe put a spanner in the works, but they're just sticking to their guns.
They're sticking to their guns, and you know, there's definitely some confidence in that. But again, you're leaving Syndra and Lee Sin open, and they wrecked you last game, so why wouldn't they this game? Maybe they've learnt a few different things, like the intricacies as to why Ku was so punishing from the jungle. Remember, there was a lane switch up that didn't really pay off for Faculty. On top of that as well, Cogmore, which Stress himself said was forced out of the laning phase and was quite weak, so there's a lot of determining factors as to why that previous game went the way it did. Maybe it's a case that with the Twitch now instead of the Cogmore, they're going to base a lot of their composition around that.
It will definitely have more punch, but 2 fast lock-ins from Ninjas in Pyjamas. No small surprise we see Lee Sin again. And now Power of Evil locks in the Shyvana, probably for top lane, could be put in the jungle, but now that we've seen Lee Sin and we know how competent Ku is with that champion, probably going to be thrown in there instead. So Ninjas in Pyjamas are not breaking a sweat when it comes into the champion select.
Yeah, certainly not. They are comfortable, confident still after that first game. And as I said, that's the way they have to approach this. There's no point saying, oh my god, NIP is so good, they can't be beaten. You have to go in there, all guns blazing. This is the semi-finals, you know, and there's $30,000 up for grabs in this tournament. So they're very close to the finishing line, and now is not the time to get tired. But that will be a Zyra lock-in as well from Faculty.
And Zyra, we did see yesterday, has been doing fairly well. It was situational, I think, more than anything, but they will be bringing that into the mix to go alongside Twitch. Could also be thrown in the mid lane, could then be a Lu in the top lane, and then a Jarvan in the jungle, but fairly ambiguous at this stage. Until we see the last pick, I think that will shine some light on their composition, but you would assume it would be Zyra down there, but don't see all of those Zyras mid anymore. Either way, a hover over freezes Draven. We know how strong he is with that champion. He might be putting that into the mix. And now they're looking at the Syndra. And Faculty's faces right now must be like, well, we just needed 5 more bans.
Yeah, 5 or maybe even 15 would have been useful. But again, you got Syndra freeze on Draven. We saw it yesterday. The 2 of us have casted him tens and tens of times we've been playing Draven and just smashing AD carries at the bot lane. This is a very comfortable pick again from them, from everybody. And they got Braum this time as well. And we've seen how terrifying Voidal is on Braum. In fact, we've had this exact same bot lane earlier in the tournament. It was Braum Draven, and they completely decimated.
Yeah, comfortable is the right word to describe this one, Metas. Everyone is on champions they know well, they know the limits of their champions. And Faculty have definitely switched it up this time and locked in Orianna as their final pick. So they do have Zyra coming in there, and it will probably be a top lane Lulu from there. So something a little bit different, but does fulfill a similar role. And then Jarvan in the jungle, which we've seen a couple times, and hopefully this one can pay off for them.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about NIP again, but you look at the composition there from Faculty. That's like a wombo combo composition. They got Zyra, they got Jarvan, they've got Orianna. If they can put and layer the ultimates on top of one another, and in particular catch Draven, who remember is going to be susceptible to getting locked down in the first place, they can make this composition work. This is doable from them. And as I said before, Siggy is a very good Orianna player.
Yeah, like Syndra is definitely fairly immobile when it comes to mid laners. Yep. Likewise, so is Draven. They only really have ways to speed themselves up. In the Syndra's case, nothing at all. So if they do manage to get those engages in the right place, it could be exactly what they want from this game. But I believe we should be hopping onto the Rift fairly soon, and we'll have the answer to all our questions. Will Faculty pull this one back to a 1-on-1? Or will Ninjas in Pyjamas take this in a 2-0 sweep as well, as we saw in the first matchup of the day?
Reason Gaming, yeah. That would be the second consecutive 2-0 scoreline. And we would see a repeat performance of the first match of the day when we saw Reason Gaming and NIP in the group stages, where NIP did get the upper hand, but it was a pretty close game. I would say it's the most NIP have been tested this tournament. So that goes to show that things are going to hot up as we progress through here. But to the game at hand, ladies and gentlemen, as you can hear and as you're about to see, we are live onto the Rift. Now, I'm interested to see here, Pulse, how many fans we have in the house tonight. If you want to see the third matchup here and Faculty pick up game number 2, make some noise for us.
Well, some people in the crowd there definitely have a small fan base behind them.
Okay, well, let's throw it on the other side then, Pulse. Let's see how many Swedes we have in the house tonight. If you want to see NIP take it 2-0 and face off against Reason Gaming in the finals, let us hear you. Okay. Yeah, there we go.
I think we have a victor in that one.
Pretty apparent, I think.
Yeah.
So, let's see if that does come to fruition, though. Let's see if the crowd are going to get what they seemingly want. Ku and Obvious chilling out in the jungle, and there is Braum. And this is what Voidal will do, by the way. If you haven't caught any of the previous games so far of DreamHack Summer 2014, Voidal has played Braum 3 times before this. Every single game, he is ridiculously aggressive in lane.
Yeah, and bot lane has easily gone in their favor.
Yes.
Braum has done everything they would have wanted, and just from that one pick, negative dimes have spanned from it for the opposing team. But Alexich has been very aggressive, in fact just wandering behind the turret, maybe looking to go for an early proxy farm or something. But Alexich did not go back to base. Minions have spawned, so he did take some damage. Meanwhile, Prombear did manage to go back to base and on 4 HP. Obvious is in the jungle, probably looking to start off on his red buff this time around. And will we see any invades? So we're at last game, and we did see the buffs exchange, so no major advantages to either team. And will we see the lane swap up? Looks like the answer is going to be a definitive no. So we will go back to what I think everyone is used to, the older standard for the game.
Yep, that seems to be what's lined up for us. What I will say, though, about Braum, he's susceptible to being harassed, especially the way that Voidal plays it. But if they land too many more of this, it's going to get messy, and it's going to get messy quickly. Actually, a flash in already from Voidal. Hyper-aggressive plays, and he gets the flash from Twitch, and that's really, really important.
That was very unfortunate, actually, from the bot lane from Ninjas in Pyjamas, because they were so close to landing concussive blows, but as the axe was in the air, concussive blows wore off, and Freeze was not able to get the stun. They were one auto attack away, but that was very close to being a dead rat in the bot lane. Instead, they will just be pushing up to the tower, and they just look incredibly strong already. Even at level 1, they are dealing the pain. And Stand Aside doesn't quite connect, but they have many ways to disrupt the Twitch and inflict some pain.
So, 6 summoners were burnt at bot lane there. The only ones that remain is Flash on Freeze and Flash on Mountain. Everything else is gone. So Freeze, in that case, is definitely looking to be in the upper hand here. So let's see how this one pays off for them. Unbreakable from Voidal. And already, Freeze looking to assert his dominance.
Yeah, and it's more of just a foul lane from these guys at the moment. If they can land a grass string, it's great. Maybe Cedrian can land an auto attack here and there, but it's more about just trying to survive at the moment. Kind of like the Lucian matchups we saw before, trying to get a couple levels on his side. But against Freeze, who will be on Draven, that's even more pain, even earlier into the game.
Ravens took a lot of damage though. Freeze has been chunked quite a bit, and that's something they're going to have to watch out for. Sometimes playing super aggressive does get the better of you. And you can see Cedrian's doing a nice job as well of keeping ahead in farm just by 1, but still, the aggression isn't quite paying off, and Freeze and Voidal, they have to back away.
Cedrian and Mountain getting a good deal of damage onto them, and they will go for that early recall, so they did push them away, and not only that, Freeze is actually behind in farm, so after that initial trade, he's actually not in the best of shape.
Well, Freeze and Voidal, they're just kind of flirting with the idea of going back. I think they realize that the wave is getting pushed, so they're going to get some free farm underneath the tower here. Draven's pretty good at that. Obviously, with the Targons as well, Voidal will be picking them up comfortably. But let's start to focus elsewhere on the map. We've only really been keeping at bottom because that's where most of the action has been so far. Orianna against the Syndra in mid. Tried Lulu last time around. Lulu is going to be played at top from Pronbear up against Alex's Shyvana. How do you feel Ori is going to fare against Syndra?
Well, in the mid lane, more of a passive lane really until level 6, because Orianna has no ways of straight up killing Power of Evil because he'll be farming from range, and likewise he'll be able to land a stun, land some damage, but until these guys have a level 6, there's no real kill potential from them alone unless we have some junglers thrown into the mid lane as well. And same story is told at top lane. Alex Ich and Pronbear are just going to be fighting away, throwing some auto attacks at each other and farming away. So the bot lane really is where most of the action is going to happen, at least for the early game, until level 6 is hit.
Yeah, 2 aggressive supports, 2 aggressive AD carries. I mean, that is just the order of the day. Top lane, you can see slight CS advantage in favor of Alex. Same can be said in mid for Syndra. And at bot, Twitch definitely has the upper hand in terms of CS. Cedrian's doing a great job alongside Mountain. You can see, though, at top lane, Ku is hungry for a potential dive.
It wanted to happen, but Obvious is also heading into the top lane. I think he smells what's up. The ping has come down. He did walk through the wards, and they now know Ku's position as he moves to mid lane as well to maybe get some work done to Sigu. 2 pushed up to his tower, however, so he will just go for the consolation prize of taking away the white, or the race rather.
Yep, so Jarvan is now taking the same position that Ku was just moments previously, and he is starting to come into lane right now, so the gank is certainly on the cards. Dragon's Descent in from Alex as well. He wants to secure this kill before falling down, but the flash is just about enough. And Obvious will flag and drag back towards his own tower.
Umber still has teleport though, so he will be able to go back to base and immediately come up and stand behind me by Voidal, keeps him alive, and Ku goes for the tower dive, does in fact not get the kill. Obvious will get the flag and drag, jukes out of the way of it, flashes sideways, and actually may have been able to get the kill if he didn't flash, but Alex Ich is running away, just have the burnout, and they will get out of that slightly sticky situation, but that was not the turn of events that either team wanted.
No, and that really is one of Ku's main pitfalls, is sometimes he's too good for his own good, as it were, because he makes plays that really shouldn't. Very confident player. And there he actually put himself in harm's way, had to flash just to survive, and will call it back to spawn. No kills yet, although we've had so much action.
Within the bot lane, Voidal and Freeze are staying in on critical HP. There's the heal, the flash forwards will get the Winters. Bite Power of Evil comes in, does not land a stun. Mountain, the concussive blows have worn off, but needs one more ultimate from any of these players. He will just use the ultimate, unleash power, and first blood to Power of Evil.
Yeah, first blood. And I would like to also draw into the light that Freeze and Voidal didn't want to try and secure that kill because they realized the passive from Zyra may even have killed them back. So they want to just back away. Plus the first blood on Power of Evil Syndra is always a good thing. Also, I'm kind of glad for Mountain he didn't use his exhaust. It was available. It wouldn't have kept him alive.
They were dead and buried at that point. There was no point burning any other summoners. But what they can be happy about is Twitch is significantly ahead in farm. Almost 20 CS, in fact more than 20 CS. And yes, they have shared some gold with Voidal as well, but really, that's not making up for how far behind they were.
That is correct, indeed. And Draven on Freeze, so often you expect to see him 20, 30 CS ahead with a bunch of kills behind his name as well. But in Faculty, they've really stood up this game. They've really upped their level, they've upped the tempo, and they do find themselves 200 gold ahead, even though they lost first blood.
You can see they want to play the slower game, with Lulu wants to be assisting mid lane, bot lane, kind of two supports in the solo lane, more supporty champions is what I'm trying to say. Lulu with the wild growth, and again Orianna, while dishing out a lot of pain, also has a lot of utility to the champion as well, really relying on Cedrian to do well in his laning phase and be the damage dealer in team fights, and that's exactly what he's doing at the moment. 78 CS, has picked up the Bilgewater Cutlass, all the components for the Blade of the Ruin King, so he's well on the way to being the champion that they need.
Yeah, definitely the case, and as I actually highlighted before, in fact, hold that thought, because Power of Evil thought about the gank to top, and decided against it, seeing Lulu backing away. But this is the wombo combo I was talking about. The later on this game goes, you're going to start to see the ultimates raining in. And then if Cedric positions right, people are going to get chunked down, Rat-tat-tat comes in, and we've seen this throughout the last couple of days, that Twitchers will mop up, they will clean up fights if given half a chance.
They will indeed. The Rat-tat-tat piercing through multiple targets will do a lot of damage, and the Winter's Bite lands onto the mountain. But Ku was not able to go for the gank. The pings come down now, 10 minutes into the game. They know the position of Ku, and he is in fact just standing still. So they are waiting for a potential dragon attempt. This will be the first dragon of the game. Power of Evil moves down. Dragon Descent was used in the top lane. From there takes some harassment from the Flame Breath, and he's opted out of going for the dragon. So back to the laning phase.
Raven is starting to make a bit of a comeback on CS with the BF sword. Is able to dish out quite a bit of damage, but Bilgewater Cutlass is allowing Twitch to just get his life back again. Nice amount of damage there on freeze just from Mountain. Again, going to show why Zyra is such a strong support, but in mid, who is going to get crushed down from Obvious, and Faculty doing a good job at bringing themselves back into this one.
Style point with the Cataclysm dunk for the kill onto Ku. And they're bringing that to a 1-to-1 with actually a fairly decent gold lead going to the team of Faculty so far. Around 400, 500 gold. They were never close to even being ahead in gold in game 1, so definitely stepped up to the plate in game 2.
They have, so far. Still early days, and Freeze alongside with Power of Evil, you know, they're going to have to live up to their carry tag here as the game progresses on. Alex has just been chugging along at the top lane, but Sigu, in fairness, is doing a good job in mid. Even though Lulu did get the, sorry, not Lulu, Syndra got the first kill of the game, she's been keeping on in the mid lane.
They were put pretty much equal footing as well, apart from the extra Duran's ring. So Syndra and Orianna will be very equal in the middle lane. In the top lane, however, they will be going for this gank. Ku heads on in, gets the wild growth. Can they secure this kill? Well, he's landed the Sonic Wave, but not sure if he wants to go for the resonating strike underneath the turret. And will decide against it, but Faculty, seeing him in top lane, we saw how good they were at securing objectives in day 1, and no change at all in game 2 of the semi-finals on the last day. Voidal gets the Glacial Fissure across, and he will kick off this fight. The Dragon goes down to the red team of Faculty, and Voidal is still there, tanking all the damage. However, Freeze is by himself, by his lonesome. They pick up one in return on to Cedric, and indeed Mountain in. Now Ku heads into the fight. The Shockwave completely whiffs, and Sigu has more damage to offer, but Power of Evil just finishes him off with the auto attacks, gets it down. 2 for 3, and the Dragon goes over to Faculty. Bronbet so close to dying. Can Power of Evil finish him off? The answer is going to be no. Alex's just get the vision down. 4 to 3. Dragon goes to Faculty, and they find themselves a very small lead.
If that Shockwave had landed, though, things could have definitely turned around, because that would have hurt with the Athenes and Holy Grail. But that's a lot of ifs, maybes, and buts. It didn't land, and the stats, therefore, speak for themselves. Power of Evil, now he doesn't have to worry about Orianna, who did recall, can push down the mid tower. More than likely not going to fall just yet, but he's going to do a decent chunk of damage to it nonetheless.
But after that fight, now that Faculty are a full, well, they were a full 1,000 gold ahead, around now 800, but it's small victories, one by one. Winter's Bite lands the land. Again, can't quite get the full stacks of concussive blows to land the stun and the extra damage, but Cedric and Mountain have done an exceptional job in the bot lane.
They really have. They've weathered the storm so far, and you got to give props to them. Still ahead on CS is Cedric, has the Blade of the Ruined King. And Mountain is doing his fair share of damage as well. That is one of the beauties of Zyra's support. But again, they're being pushed down on their tower. And Draven is just slowly but steadily chugging along. Is nearly on his Bloodthirster.
The worst thing for Freeze at the moment is he died without cashing in his Adoration stats. Like, he was building them up for the first 10 minutes of the game. He died. They were now then halved. And he hasn't been able to get any of the extra gold. So from his passive, not be doing all that well, and assists of course don't count. It's all about the kills for Draven, and without that mechanic coming in, that's a deadweight passive.
Yeah, it definitely is, which is why a lot of Draven players, Freeze included, when the changes first came in, was not a huge fan of the Adoration. So I guess he's came to terms with it now and he is starting to get used to it, but all things considered, he is definitely behind. You can see the CS lead is growing even further from Cedrian. Across the board elsewhere though, Orianna slightly ahead of Syndra and dead even at top lane.
In the jungle though, they have picked up their first damage item, and that will be fairly similar in that they've both gone for the Spirit of the Lizard Elder, maybe looking towards the Brutalizer as well from Obvious, which is what you typically go for when you've had the initial kill or initial 2 kills to get your team rolling, have the extra damage coming across. Ku will do the same just to give a little extra punch to his ganks when he goes for them, but not all the ganks have resulted in kills, and by just farming, that's the safe option and will ensure that you do scale into the mid-game when they do inevitably go for fights. So are we expecting anything really to happen? The Dragon is currently down, and no tower is really going to fall in a hurry.
Well, because in Faculty's team comp is so heavily based around this wombo combo, they're likely going to be happy enough to just farm for a little while longer until objectives like Baron are on the cards. That's when they're probably going to want to group up as 5 and try and make their composition work for them. Whereas on the flip side, it's more on NIP to try and make the plays, to get the assassinations and the picks. I mean, that's what Syndra excels at. That's what Draven is very good at as well. So NIP, they're kind of playing into Faculty's team composition at this stage of the game.
They are indeed. And we just need a team fight to show us that the theory crafting is all right, but Ninjas in Pyjamas have always been very strong mechanically, and that may change the course of the team fights, no matter how far ahead the Faculty are. Definitely a slower paced game to what we were maybe expecting coming into this one. And Faculty, well, they picked to play the slow game and they're doing it.
Yep, they certainly are doing it right here, and that's where Faculty are going to shine. Siggy's flashing up red in the middle lane, but he should be alright. He may have to back away though. Dragon up in 1 minute 30, teleport to top from Pronbear, trying to stop this tower from falling, which it certainly would if he wasn't there in place, and now he is going to be dove upon. There is the wild growth and the flash as well. Can Pronbear manage to survive this one? Nice glitter lance bot lane as well. Centurion is going to be backing on off after getting exhausted, and also Pronbear does survive, so a lot of opportunities, but nothing quite coming through as planned.
Obvious is looking for another gank in the bot lane. The flag and drag moves on to Freeze. That low mobility AD carry will be dropping, and that goes to Obvious. They go for the tower dive as well onto Voidal. He does get the Winter's Bite, slows him down. Also gets the grab with the grasping root, and the plant pops up, but will quickly fall to the turret. Voidal almost joined his ally, 6-3 Tundra.
Absolutely, they will be backing on off now. And there is Ku round the backside. He really wants his man, and Pronbear is going to be falling this time around, or is he? Have I spoke too soon? A nice slow as well from him. Flash in from Alex, and Flame Breath finally picks it up.
That was so close to not picking up the kill. Had the Flame Breath missed, he wasn't in range for an auto attack even after the flash. So that was incredibly close, but 5-4, and we will hand it over to our analyst of strats.
Yeah, I was speaking to alternate Sunny before this best of 3 actually about this kind of composition out of Faculty, because SK was saying if Faculty run a team fight composition, it could be a good thing for them. But hold that thought, we might come back to this. As Obvious is getting aggressed upon. We do have the time, but Sunny was saying that if that happens, while he's confident that Faculty are strong enough to take the game, he was talking about how NIP is such smart players, and you saw that in their pick and ban phrase from the last game, that they're not going to play into the hands of Faculty. We'll see if that actually comes true here, because if they do take a fight here at Dragon, it could be catastrophic for them with that shockwave after the Cataclysm.
And now the Dragon is started off by the team of N Faculty, and they'll just take it away. So that's another objective going their way. They are 2 towers behind, but it's all about the Dragon. N Faculty, no matter who they're playing against, always secure those objectives. And they are just not fazed by the power of ninjas in Pyjamas at the moment, and no doubt they'll start to pick up towers as well.
Yeah, their objective control is generally exquisitely good, but they don't have any towers to their name so far. And they're going to want to change that sooner rather than later so they can start to set up the combo that we were talking about in the jungle, start to win out the ward war on top of that, which is what ultimately gets you into those positions in the first place when the opposite team doesn't know where you are. Have a quick look though. It looks as though NIP are sick of this and they're going to come down to the bot lane potentially.
What they're looking for, Q heading around the side, do get the teleport in, which is properly cancelled. The mountain gets kicked into the team. The huge whirling death will pick up one, and now the Cataclysm locks them underneath the turret, being way too aggressive. The double kill, make that still a double kill, but another double kill for Zedrian.
It is the double kill if you have it, and you know, that was all without Lulu managing to get to bot lane. It was cancelled, was the teleport, and they still chunked. And that's because the wombo combo that we spoke about previously just all stacked on top of one another underneath the tower, and Twitch was isolated. This is what I was talking about before. Isolated outside of the Cataclysm, and he just had free reign to do whatever he wanted to, and it had no danger on him whatsoever.
2 kills going onto Twitch is perfect for them right now. Alex Sitch is trying his best to steal away the red buff, but Brombear will be taking that one away, had the superior timing on that. Briefly squirrels the Dragon, and he will just go ahead and recall. So 2 kills now onto the AD carry of Zedrian, 4 kills onto Obvious, so he will be exceptionally strong on the front lines, up towards the Hex Drinker from that previous longsword that we saw him pick up. Ku jumps forwards, gets the ward jump, gets a sonic wave onto Mountain, but doesn't know what's around the next corner, so will not choose to follow through, and will just instead go for the pink ward.
And because of the more safe solo laning champions of Lulu and Orianna, Ku has had nowhere near the same level of interference as he did in the first game. He's not been able to get anywhere near as many successful ganks off, burn as many summoner spells as well. So that in turn has kind of decreased the influence that NIP have had across the board.
Definitely has not had the same impact, but let's take a look at some of the items. It's been a while, a lot of gold has been spread amongst these players, so the Death Cap now finished by Orianna, that being Sigu, also the Fiends on the Holy Grail. Power of Evil may do the same thing, but with the Fiend's Codex, you may think he will go towards the Deathfire Grasp, and that will just increase his burst potential with the unleashed power and everything else at his disposal.
Yeah, so again, we're reaching a bit of a lull in the action where N Faculty are pretty much having it their way. That last fight has definitely sent a few shockwaves reeling for NIP, which they're going to have to try and shrug off and get back to business on. But that was a brief taste of things that could potentially come. 210 farm on Orianna compared to 224 from Syndra, so they're both doing a great job at farming, but it's how you use that farm, how you use the items that really counts. Ku in the jungle right now is going to be knocking back Obvious. Cavalry coming in will get the flash away, so those long-range engages from Obvious not quite as prevalent for the next 3 or 4 minutes.
They burn that long summoner spell, that is no longer available for Obvious, but Ku goes in again, finds himself Mountain and his army of plants, takes him to 30% HP, but that means that Cataclysm, the Flash Cataclysm, or the Flash Flag and Drag means that that's no longer on the cards for the next couple of minutes. And while Voidal has been on point with the Winter's Bites, I haven't seen many concussive blows actually come to fruition. It's always been on 3 or 2 stacks.
Also haven't really seen the Glacial Fissure used to any kind of devastating effect, which is something that we have seen time and time again from him in the group stage. So that may also be a bit of a spanner thrown into the works from N Faculty. They are a very difficult team to lock down because of all the ways of being able to be sped up from Lulu and Orianna. Then you've got to deal with Jarvan, who's just a really irritating champion to lock down. So again, that plays into Zedrian's mechanical ability to just run rampant with Twitch.
Alex Sitch in the top lane picked up the Blade of Ruin King, also getting towards the Spectre's Cowl, which could go a number of different ways. Could be the Banshee's Veil, and also picked up the Giant's Belt, which will probably be built into Arandrons, but it's a little too early to call it. And the triple Duran's Rings was picked up by Pronbear because you only really have to have 2 big items as your cores. You get the Infinity Holy Grail, you pick up your item of choice after that, maybe a death cap, but that's a long way to go. So by picking up the 3 Doran's rings, at least your item or slot efficient for a long way into the game. At least 23, 24 minutes that we've seen so far.
And again, very reminiscent to yesterday when we were watching NIP. Freeze not performing at the same level as we've seen plenty of times in the past, but Alex Ich and also Power of Evil stepping up to the plate, picking up that slack. And actually, Alex is a very scary dragon right now. 3-0-1, 206 farm, and he's got some pretty beefy items as well. Soon he is going to reach that stage where he becomes that brick wall that we spoke about previously.
6-8 is the current scoreline in kills. 36.5 thousand gold to 38.6, so only a 2k difference between these two teams, but the 2 tower advantage goes to Ninjas in Pyjamas. They have all those outer turrets from N Faculty, so at least they have more room to maneuver, and Ku has all the room to maneuver in the top lane as Alex Ich goes in for the Dragon Descent, but everyone is closing in.
Yeah, they are. Sigu is here, though, in prime position, gets the first kill of this exchange. Dragon has just came live, but look at that scan of the week from Power of Evil from the side, destroying Lulu. He is going to be aggressed on, though, from Obvious, but here comes the Glacial Fissure, and that pretty much sums the end of the fight. 1-for-1 in the end there.
That was incredibly impressive by Power of Evil. Basically saved the lives of everyone who was trying to turn tail and run right there with the scat of the week onto 3 members of N Faculty. That could have been much, much worse if he didn't have that mechanical skill. And Ninjas in Pyjamas, well, they may not be leading in this game, they've shown how strong they are.
They may not be leading, but again, it's so close that you can't count them out. Like, there is no chance you can say, oh, and Faculty have already wrapped this game up. There is the teleport coming down from Alex, making sure Dragon wasn't picked up. That's going to buy up enough time for Ku to get into position. Of course, has that very precious smite, which will be available in just a matter of a couple seconds. He's going to jump in, now it's available, so you probably fancy NIP to pick this one up. Power of Evil doing a good job of just running interference alongside Voidal. There we go, Scan of the Week comes in, that is a Dragon to NIP.
I thought we were going to see a contest right there, but Ninjas in Pyjamas pick up their first Dragon of the game away from N Faculty. And we didn't see too much interaction. N Faculty definitely respecting Ninjas in Pyjamas at that point, especially because you have these close-knit corridors. Power of Evil land a stun onto 3 people in a team fight with all the damage behind him, then it spells the end of N Faculty's chances in the semi-finals. They're already 1 game down. But this, I have to say, is the closest game I've seen between any team so far and Ninjas in Pyjamas. So if any team can take a game away from them, so far it looks like N Faculty might be the one.
They might be that team to step up, and Recent Gaming gave them a run for their money in the first game of the group, but I do agree, this is a lot closer than that. 27 minutes coming up, 1,000 gold is all that separates the teams. And Faculty, they've been holding their own, which when you consider the first game was such a blowout, one-sided affair, it's impressive they could bounce back in this way.
It is indeed, and Ku heads into the jungle, takes all the gold he can, everyone getting ready for the next fight, and everyone with the extra gold was able to pick up some more items. So in the bottom lane, in fact, both of them going for Ghost Blades, which is not a build you see all the time, or rather a scenario you see all the time, with both AD carries going for Ghost Blade, and also their initial damage item, Blade of the Ruin King, and also the Bloodthirster for Cedrian and Freeze, respectively.
Yeah, you're right. It's not the kind of item that you would expect to see on Draven in particular. We've seen a lot of it on Twitch over the last few days. Crislin did that, Jeebus has done it as well. And I think we even saw Freeze running it yesterday. So it's not totally out of the ordinary, but the idea behind it on Draven is just that he wants to put down as much damage as he possibly can in that burst kind of scenario. Like, really just throw out the axes, get things rolling. Unfortunately, though, he's still going to suffer the same issues. He's still going to suffer the issue of being very vulnerable to being locked down. And he's still going to die if a couple of ultimates hit him.
Yeah, makes him a little bit more maneuverable in fights, but not too much. It will definitely help towards that cause. Obvious finds Alex Ich, or maybe the other way around. That's a lane we haven't looked at for quite a while, and you can see 3, 0, and 2 been farming up a Storm, 245, but Freeze has been caught out by Cedrian, and there's the Blade of the Ruin King. The flash burnt by Freeze. That is a very important summoner for an AD carry who has no escape.
Yeah, Ghostblade was also used there from Cedrian, but he'll take that trade. Absolutely sure of that. No flash on Draven means he is ripe for the taking. He is building towards a face, so we could potentially see another Triforce again, which Freeze has ran in the past. But Alex is still just being that thorn in the side. He's not giving up pushing top lane. So in Faculty, we've seen them before actually getting caught out in these positions where they try split pushing and they get punished for it. They need to make sure this isn't another one of those times.
And Faculty have had a very strong laning phase, as we see Alex Ichigaras onto Brombear, picked up that second turret in the top lane. But what they also have is a very good team fight. They have the Jarvan, the ball delivery system, the Cataclysm into Shockwave. Top lane, the Wild Growth will be used to keep himself healthy, but they will go for the fight in bottom river.
They will. No flash on Freeze means a dead Freeze. Stranglethorns as well, but they don't need it. They've already picked up the 2 kills that they were looking for. No Freeze, no Q. That means they could push through mid. They are pinging on towards it right now. Would they even potentially go for a Baron?
Well, if they close in around Alex Hitch, then that could be on the cards for them, and he's being constantly slowed down by Brombear, looking for the last Glitterlance perhaps. Alex Hitch is looking to stall, looking to take them away from the objective of Baron, which I believe they have actually started. Yes, they have. The Mountain, Obvious, and Cedrian. So much damage being unleashed onto the Baron right now, but here comes the contest. They have Voidal, they have Power of Evil, the full combo goes down onto Sigurd. It's not going to be able to take him out, but Voidal is being a pain in the side. There's the smite by Jarvan, he will be picking up, and now they just turn around. They get one, they get the Baron, they move on to Voidal, they get another kill. Can they close in around Alex Hitch and find themselves the third? This is disastrous from Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, the kill followed up, and that's going to be Freeze getting caught once again underneath the tower. Rolling Death comes through, not going to get any kills, but look at how many low players there currently are. For in Faculty, they've managed to break through though. They've got the tower, they've got the Baron, they've got a bunch of kills on the important champion. Suddenly Twitch is 5-1, 5-0 Jarvan, and we're going to pass it over to Stress.
It's a very uncharacteristic game from Freeze. Typically, Draven players should be very, very comfortable on that champion, comfortable playing without an escape, and that's what Freeze is known for. He's 0-5 in this game, hasn't been able to use any of his stacks, he's getting caught out, is kind of getting a little bit edgy in his plays as well, and he's not playing with a Thresh, he has no escape, he's playing with a Braum who has to jump in towards him to keep him protected. You saw him get caught out again. Unfortunate the Whirling Death animation doesn't come back towards you if you die, but there you go. Couldn't get the kills from that one, dropped him low, couldn't get the kills, he's 0-5. Freeze needs to change this up a bit because Draven is way out of this game right now. Yeah,
I definitely agree with Stress's Riftside analysis that 0-5, 1-4 on these champions that you just assume they're going to be incredible on because they've had so many games, so much experience, they know the champions inside and out. This is not the performance we were expecting. Power of Evil, 3, 2, and 3, still the solid, consistent player. Likewise, the story can be told by Alex Hitch on the Shyvana.
But to put things into perspective, yes, and Faculty have been on a good momentum shift. Yes, they've got Baron. Still, though, the goal difference isn't that huge. And on top of that, NIP have more towers standing. So this is far from over. Ku comes in, tries to steal it out. He will be able to survive for now. So nice attempt from him. But that is another objective falling to Faculty.
But in the short time he was in that Dragon Pit, he took so much damage from Faculty. They have so much to offer, and they didn't burn anything to do it. And Ku is meant to be one of the tankier members on their team, and if he's getting chunked, then, as we saw before, Freeze underneath that turret will just get eliminated and deleted from Summoner's Rift. So, in Faculty, move through their jungle, pick up all the buffs that they can, and Alex Hitch may be out of position and is in no man's land. How much time can he waste? But that is a tanky dragon.
That's a very tanky dragon. He's been slowed down though. Here comes Zedrian, who's going to do a lot of damage. Doesn't quite land the Venom cask, so Alex can speed back up again. What he's doing here though is he's stalling out. In Faculty, they can't really use their Baron in this situation. He finally does get the shutdown, but in mid lane, Freeze gets caught again. I didn't catch that, but he's nowhere near his teammates.
Well, I was going to say, okay, maybe he's stalling, maybe they can get some objective, get some aggressive wards, and that's what they need. But at the same time, then Freeze also gets caught, even though they committed 2 people to try and deal with Alex Hitch. This is not the same NIP we've seen over the last couple of days, Metas. They are just falling apart, and Faculty are just going to take this game. This is right for the taking for them. Could easily bring this to a third game as they pick up the first middle turret. And now look for the engage as well onto Q. Glacial Fissure comes through from Voidal. He's some range. Dragon's Raid knocks them back towards the turret, but he's quite happy to reposition right there and take down the first inhibitor turret and indeed the inhibitor itself. This Baron has done work for the team.
Yeah, it certainly has. Alex was trying to stall him, but if your AD carry gets caught, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter you have 2 or 3 players chasing you for 10, 20 seconds. So now, NIP back to the drawing board again. A couple seconds ago I said, oh, it's a 4,000 gold difference. It's still very close. It's 5 to 2 towers, 5 to 4 now, and we're moving towards 9,000 gold difference. So that's in the space of a couple of moments.
It is, and a lot of that gold is centered on Twitch as well. 6, 1, and 5, 250 CS at 34 minutes is definitely respectable. 3.5 items. Compared that to Freeze, he's only sitting on 2, and then the components of potentially a Trinity Force. So that will be, in fact, the 4th item, just as I'm talking, picked up by Setri. Basically just instantly bought a Banshee's Veil, making him infinitely difficult, infinitely harder to kill. Yeah,
that's exactly it. A very smart pickup from him, because you don't want to get burst down from Syndra. It's that simple. That's something that could turn the game back around in NIP's favor, because a lot of their raw damage output is squarely put on the shoulders of the little rat himself. So building that item, very, very smart. Zeal could very well just go into a Phantom Dancer. Attack speed works very, very well with Twitch.
In the mid lane, Sigu, 300 farm, keeping pace with Power of Evil. 30 CS behind, but an extra kill on his back, plus 5 more assists. So he's fairly even when it comes to the item build, and very, very similar. The Void Staff, the Death Cap as well. Not the Sorcerer's Boots, has not opted towards that, but also has the Zoni's Hourglass. Top tower falls and Faculty, just picking up the easier objectives for these guys at the moment. Something that Ninjas in Pyjamas wouldn't even think about trying to contest, but maybe an inner turret might be where they want to make their stand.
That could very well be the case. They could be looking to just try and fend off until Baron is no longer an issue. 1 minute 15 on Baron, speaking of that. And actually Baron's worn off, so what am I even talking about? But regardless, they're still a formidable team to go up against when you're this far behind in gold. When you're AD carry, and they're not bad items, but for 36 minutes, they're not particularly good either.
Indeed. So when Faculty did toy with the idea of maybe going in, a good stun onto Mountain keeps him in place for a second. Voidal and Ninjas in Pyjamas are being very aggressive, but look at the base. At the Nexus, do have the minions swarming in, and Lulu is doing the split pushing. The only job that Faculty need to do is just go ahead and stall them for as long as possible. Alexid will walk down to the bot lane, but that was 1 turret falling. In fact, the Nexus turret falling to the minions by themselves, and the split push Lulu picks up the the inner turret and another inner turret in the top lane. They're just being completely outpositioned and outmaneuvered by Faculty.
This is the Faculty that people were expecting to show up in game number 1 and really give NIP a run for their money. I'm glad they have finally found that form, found that rhythm, because they're a very difficult team to beat. They're a very frustrating team to beat as well, because they do this pincer movement. It's a slow, steady, painful death that you receive at the hands of them. Baron has just spawned, so it's back live again. You can already see them pinging towards the blue buff.
And Faculty are dancing around Ninjas in Pyjamas. They just cannot react fast enough. They have some mobility. Alex has the burnout, of course, got the blood rush from Freeze, but they can't rotate. They cannot move fast enough to their lanes to make anything happen. And Faculty move towards the Baron, and are NIP going to try and disrupt them? It's almost down. This is probably not the engagement they want. There comes the Draven ultimate, and it will be taken away by Faculty. Now they just have to not get caught. Oh, a perfect flag and drag keeps Alex it away, and there's another shockwave keeps him into the team, but he is still very tanky. Q, they go for maybe the last fight of the game.
Yeah, it could be, but that shockwave only landed on Shyvana, so they've burned quite a bit already. There's the Cataclysm as well, but they're going to be re-engaging on this one, and it's Freeze that's being engaged upon, and he's going to fall. It didn't look that game-breaking for a few moments, but suddenly it does. However, Syndra comes back. and decimates Twitch, but is it too little too late? There's one Nexus tower been destroyed already. 2 inhibitors are about to fall.
Everyone collapsed on the Rat, everyone collapsed on Twitch, and that means they'll be losing their inhibitor as well. That was just not worth it, but they needed everyone to try and take down Cedrian. They did get the shutdown, but now they have 2 inhibitors down, and they are backed against the wall. They had to try and do something about the Baron. They couldn't just roll over and let them have it, but at the same time, they needed to not get caught. But that was a fantastic flag and drag, keeping Alexic and knocking him out of the Dragon Descent animation.
Yeah, perfect timing, because he was using it defensively just to escape, and it's like, nope. That's effectively a flash denied right there. So, big plays. Dragon has also been secured. Nearly 15,000 goal difference between the 2 squads. NIP, if you have just joined us, won the first game. So Faculty had to win this, and they still, if they do win this game, which is looking more and more likely as time passes by, they would therefore need to win the next game too, and they would face off against Reason Gaming in our grand finale.
Well, after the first game, I think everyone's everyone's mindset was that, well, that's an impossible task. Maybe they can take one game, but it will be hard fought. But they've been making short work of NIP this game. They've had a small advantage, and they've maintained that advantage all the way through the game. There's not been one point in the game where we've said NIP are dominating right now. It's just been a slow, constant push from Faculty, not giving up anything. And there's been very few mistakes as well. It's all been calculated.
That's the key thing. Their mistakes have gone way down from game number 1, where they made a lot of unforced errors. And that's the kind of situation you don't want to be in, especially against a team of NIP's caliber. This time around, though, completely right. They've been on point. They have been, clearly their communication levels have gone up. They're all feeling better and let themselves go. They've got nothing to lose. When you're 1-0 against NIP, no one fancies you to win. That's where you're at your strongest, I feel, and most threatening. See, 17-8, they are now bearing down on both bottom with Lulu and top with the rest of the side.
Well, I would start talking about a team fight and how we could break that down, but Faculty aren't looking for a straight-on team fight. They're looking to divide and conquer, try and push them out all the way across the map, and indeed their base, not even the map anymore. They are right up against their fountain. Q lands a Q, but doesn't want to go all the way. And look at that minion wave. They need more than just Alex to deal with it. Alex will go one-on-one with Ronbear, but he's just, again, dancing around him like a viper. And they need someone to deal with the Nexus. Everyone is just piling on the back of those super minions. Finally, they do get the spawn, but they'll go for the fight. Ku jumps in on Ronbear, but he'll just kite him around. Glacial Fissure comes across, but obviously it's so damn tanky, no one can even dent him. They get the first kill onto Power of Evil. Is this the end for the story of NIP in this game? And Freeze is just hiding behind the Nexus. That will be Faculty taking the game against Ninjas in Pyjamas in a 40-minute slugfest.
Yeah, that is pretty ridiculous play from Faculty. Look at them, they're so happy, bringing it back to 1-1 on the scoreline. I don't think many people were expecting that, especially after the first game performance, but you know what, you've got to give huge props to Faculty, who now can go into a third game and potentially go through to the grand finale up against Reason Gaming.
Smiles on the faces of Faculty, and they should be happy. That was a convincing victory as well. If you swap the names around, it'd be like, yeah, that was definitely Ninjas in Pyjamas, but they managed to exploit every weakness and they just took it home.
They did, and it was interesting to me as well that their